Good morning, precious people. Here we are together. It's another fresh day. I'm so thankful for your irreplaceable light and the experience and wisdom that you bring into the world. Today is a gift filled with possibility, so let's open it with kindness and curiosity. Just remember, we're still growing and learning. So grab your nearest drink. Mine is my water with my little packet of stuff in it today. So let's check in with ourselves. Go ahead and do a big deep breath with me. If you need another one, go ahead, take another one. Yes. Oxygen, so good. So I wanted to talk about how we filter information through our brain today. And I'm sure there's more than these two types of filters, but I'm focusing on these two filters. So one is called, well, I'll get to that in a minute. There was a little exercise I wanted to do. So, and you've done this one in like so many different seminars you've been a part of. It says, look around the room, see what you can see, count how many red things you can spot. Like I see my little red pen there. Maybe Dilbert's shirt on my little calendar. You can't see it, it's red. And then the person will be like, okay, now that you've seen everything, counted the red things in the room, how many blue things did you see? And you're like, none. I can't see things I'm not focused on. Like, there could be 0 blue things in the room when you were looking around looking for the red. You could have seen 0 blue things, like honestly not even seen them, and they would have been there. So I don't know if you guys done those kind of activities before, but that's kind of what I wanted to talk about. Your filter, what you're looking for. And our brains aren't like video cameras. Our brains are more like an editor. So the editor goes through and picks what's important, what's not important. The editor can't let everything in because then there's no space on the page for everything the writer wants to write, kind of thing. So we don't see the world as it is. We see it through our filters. So there's 2 filters I wanted to talk about. One's called a perceptual filter, and that can be seen as like the hardware of your brain or the operating system, like actually how it is working. And that manages the volume of data that's coming in from all of our senses, and even its own self. It's like thinking up stuff. I know my brain thinks up stuff all the time, and I have to ignore some of my thoughts. Then there's another filter that's like it's software, like something that's been installed, and it might be glitching or it might be repeating processes, things like that. That's a different kind of filter that kind of distorts how you feel about the data that the other filter is allowing in. So the first filter, the perceptual filter, is kind of a gate that allows noise in. It's like a regulator. It's the biological and psychological process of managing sensory overload. So if we notice every blade of grass, we can't see the lion hiding in it. So it's like a self-preservation sort of thing. It's this system in your brain is called the reticular activating system. And I guess it could be considered like the bouncer at the door, where it's like, no, you can't come in, you can. Like sitting here, do you ever hear like your air conditioning going? Or like outside, I think a truck just drove by. But if I'm listening and hearing everything and feeling like my seat under me or my scratchy like neck, collar on my shirt, sometimes some of those the brain will let in, like, hey, you need to fix that. Like, oh yeah, something's going on. My tag's messed up. But most of the time your brain can like filter, oh no, that's not important. Okay, that's just the heater, things like that. So that's the noise gate. It's the perceptual filter. It manages the data that comes in. So it's a survival mechanism. At any given moment, your senses are bombarded with millions of bits of information. Your brain cannot process it all, so it uses this filter to figure out what is relevant. It's selective attention, where you can focus on one thing while ignoring a whole host of others. It's why you can hear your name, even if it's not spoken at a loud volume, in a crowded room. I mean, there could be lots of different conversations going on around you, and as soon as your name is mentioned, and it's funny, I've done this so many times, like, oh, I'm sorry, what'd you say? And they're like, oh, you heard that? Yeah, I'm sure you guys have had that experience too, where your brain's tuned to certain things that are important, and your own name is one of them. So these filters are shaped by your biology and your upbringing. So how your upbringing can program this filter, this operating system, is what you see as important. Kind of like as a Christian, you see other people's needs. And maybe not even as a Christian, maybe you're raised in a home where empathy was a big deal, like seeing people's needs, meeting other people's needs. So you could be going through your day and you see somebody struggling, you're like, oh, let me help you with that. Some people don't have that filter though. The goal of this filter is efficiency and survival. It just prevents the sensory overload. So this is a scientific term for how our brains process a massive amount of information we encounter every second. We cannot focus on everything, so our filter has to decide what gets through. It has filters on the filter. It has your beliefs. If you believe people are generally untrustworthy, your filter will prioritize evidence of people being shady, while ignoring, actually not seeing, like the red and blue example, not seeing other people's kindness. And sometimes your filter is based on your needs. Like when you get hungry, you could be driving down the street, and it's like every single restaurant. You drive down the street all the time. I'm like, oh, there's a taco place I didn't even know, but you're like so starving, you're like, ooh, I would really like some tacos. And so you're like seeing all the places that serve tacos. I don't know. That's just an example in my own life. Food is a huge motivator for me. So values, like your personal ethics, like what I was talking about before, things that you think are important to know or be informed on, you'll find more often in the news and on social media, and just in interactions with other people. I guess that would be a confirmation bias too. Your brain wants to prove itself correct. So this filter has been shaped through your own genetics and your upbringing. So the part two, the second filter here is, it's called, well, what I call it here is the mental filter. Obviously the other one is mental too, but this one is where things can be tinted. This is the little program put inside the program. This is like a little, not the big operating system, how your brain just functions, but this is like something put into your brain that's a filter. It's a cognitive distortion where like one little negative thing can color everything negative. So there is a metaphor, kind of like a drop of ink in a glass of water. Like ink is poisonous. You can't drink ink. But if you have a big glass of water, you put one drop of ink in there, it disperses. It colors the whole glass, a shade of whatever that ink color was. And you can actually drink it. It's not going to hurt you. But you can see that. You're like, oh, that has poison in it now. I can't drink it, even if it's a very tolerable, tiny little drop. So one little bad experience can affect how you see like a restaurant. If you get bad service at a restaurant, you're like, oh, well, I'm never going back there again. Yeah, but the food was good. Yeah, the service was slow, or, and the restrooms were clean and it was well maintained. There's no bugs crawling in the back on your food, has everything right about it. But if you had like a bad experience there, it will color your view of that place. And I think we all have experienced that. Something like getting a performance review that's not as good as you were expecting, and then you think to yourself like, oh my gosh, I might be fired. I must not be doing a good job. So I guess that is the filter where it can affect even your self-esteem. This little glitch, this little broken little part of the operating system. The danger to this second filter is that it feeds anxiety and depression, because it just deletes your highlights and it exaggerates your losses. And I don't know if I've mentioned it on another episode, but I've heard like for every 10 compliments you get, one critique can take away the benefit of 10 compliments. So for some reason, our brains have this filter in it. In psychology, specifically cognitive behavioral therapy, this mental filter is a cognitive distortion. It doesn't just manage the volume of data like the other filter does. It actively ignores positive data to focus on negative things. You pick out a single negative detail and dwell on it. This leads you to perceive the entire situation as negative, even if the facts suggest otherwise. You disqualify the positive, you play down positive things like compliments and things. This is a stronger version of the filter where you don't just ignore the positive, you actively transform these positive things into negatives. I did this yesterday. I was washing dishes at the place where I help sometimes, and the lady, the owner of the place, said, "You do the dishes so fast. I don't even know how you do it so fast." And I was like, instantly, I'm like, maybe I'm not washing them good enough. Maybe she said that because I missed something. And so I was like trying to beat myself up over her telling me I'm so efficient and good at what I'm doing. I'm like, and after I had that thought and that worry, I'm like, maybe I should ask her. And I'm like, no, self, you are okay and you're doing a good job and they love your work. So see just how those little thoughts can slip right in there. So the goal of this filter is, it's a defense mechanism to confirm existing low self-esteem or anxiety, and it is ultimately harmful. This, goodness gracious, it's a mental filter and it's a type of thinking trap. And I fall into it. Oh, I do. I actively have to, when I catch myself thinking those thoughts, turn it around. I'm going to give you some way to combat these traps here. So this is something you can use immediately. I would almost call it a toolkit. There's a few different ways you can combat this. Like yesterday when I caught myself, I'm like, they love your work, lady. Just accept a compliment. So when you feel a negative filter taking over, you stop and ask, if a stranger were watching this scene, what would they record on video? And when you're thinking of that, and when you're looking at it like an outside person would look at it, you're kind of removing a little bit of the emotion and you're seeing the facts. So if I put myself in that situation yesterday where someone saw her like You're doing a great job. You did these dishes so fast. We can't believe it. You're the best. What would that person be saying? Just a compliment, not that internal dialogue I had. The next way you can combat this is you literally draw a T-chart. Do you know what a T-chart is? So you have a line across the bottom, across the top, and right down the middle. On one side, you will put the negative thought. On the other side, you put actual evidence to the contrary. So you put those two titles, negative thought, evidence to the contrary, or depending on if this video is this way or this way, or you can put it on either side. And you can't just do one-to-one. You need 3 pieces of evidence to the contrary. Like my thing is like with the dishwashing, like, oh, I made a mistake with the dishes. No, she complimented you. The dishes are getting done quicker, and no one has brought a dish back that wasn't fully clean. So those are my 3 pieces of real hard evidence that have no emotional basis. It's just proving that negative thought is false. The next one is having a positive filter. You have that negative filter in there. It's already hardwired in there. Boop, switch it around. Make it into a positive filter. You have to actively do this, though. So something called the 3 wins practice. At the end of the day, force your brain to find 3 things that went well for you that day. 3 things you did well, that went in your way, like that. It's the lucky girl phenomenon, where you're like, oh yeah, I'm so lucky because all this great stuff happened. Gratitude, like a lot of people do gratitude journals, and they'll do the 3 things at the end of the day. And this will retrain your perceptual filter to look for opportunities instead of threats. So I guess maybe I was looking at that as a threat. Threat to my ego. Like, no, she's just saying I'm doing a bad job when she's saying I'm doing a good job. Let's see. There's also questions you can ask yourself. Something like, am I looking at the whole picture, or am I just seeing the broken part of this picture? You can list objective facts, and if you don't even want to do the T-chart and write everything down, you can really just in your mind think this, this, and this. This is just what happened. No filter needed. I guess what I'm trying to say is that you can't remove your filters entirely. You can choose to swap out the lens. You can see everything through trying to find the negative, trying to see everything that's wrong, even reading the newspaper, watching social media. What? Poo, poo, poo. My brain goes to mistakes right away too. Like I can see a typo or an error. So you can retrain that. Be like, just skip over it. Have that thought and let it pass and go on to it. Or actively change the thought into a positive. It takes a lot of training, though. It really takes a lot of practice. That's why the neurocycle I talked about the other day is very important. Doing something 7 times a day. Doing your affirmations. Feeling your feelings, putting words to it, and then making a conscious choice to fix it, move past it. Say, not today, Satan, So that was all I had. Just these 2 little filters that are always running in your brain. And if you catch yourself like I did yesterday, you can change it. If anything sparked a thought, go ahead and leave your comment. Every day is a chance to learn something new. And I just want you to know the world is better with your light in it. And thank you for watching. I hope to see you next time. Bye.